Morning everybody, welcome back to the ranch. It is another beautiful day. It is chilly and cold and snowing outside, so we are going to make a nice warm stick to your rib breakfast, some good old-fashioned southern biscuits and gravy. So let's get started. Alright, so now we have all of our ingredients ready. Let's start getting our biscuit dough ready so that we can get that cooking in the oven, and then we will start on the sausage and gravy. So you're going to need 4 cups of flour, 2 cups of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, I don't have fresh buttermilk right now, that's okay. Just add in about 3 tablespoons, 3 or 4 tablespoons for 2 cups of milk of white vinegar. And you're gonna let that just set right here on the counter while you mix everything else up for the biscuit dough, and then you're gonna add this in at the end. So we'll set that. Okay, so once you have both sticks of butter all cubed up, you're going to start tossing that in because you don't want the butter to melt. You want it to try to stay as cold as possible. A little trick before you start doing this, whenever you're getting your ingredients together, get your 2 sticks of butter out, throw them in the freezer because you want your butter to stay as cold as possible so that it doesn't all melt out on you when you start baking your biscuits. Alright, so your cubes of butter and your flour is going to look a little bit like this. Now what you want to do is you want to incorporate it all together. You don't want to melt the butter, but you want to squish this all together. Each individual little cube, just kind of break it up until they're all coated in flour. You want it to be kind of crumbly and a dry dough before we add in our buttermilk at the end. So just kind of grab it. You're just going to kind of press it together, make sure all the butter stays coated with flour. It's going to get kind of crumbly. Okay, so this is kind of what you're wanting. This nice, dry, kind of crumbly looking flour with all that butter incorporated in by hand. Kind of looks like graham cracker crumble. Now it's time to add in the buttermilk that's been sitting. You can kind of see how it sets up kind of jiggly. It almost curdles the milk. And you're only going to want to add in about 1 3/4 cup. Leave a 1/4 cup for the end. I'll show you why. This is kind of what we're looking for here. This nice stick to the spatula kind of dough, but dry. Before you handle the dough, just throw some extra flour on so it doesn't stick too much to your hands. You're going to want to knead your biscuit dough together. You don't want to over knead it and overwork it because then you end up with hard biscuits. But what I like to do is when I first get it out, I just start folding it over. Kind of like you're making pastry when you're going to laminate it and you're going to kind of fold all the butter layers in. That's really all the kneading that I like to do on the biscuits. That way they get a really nice high rise, kind of like Pillsbury's Grand Rising biscuits. Usually fold it about 6 times. Kind of pinch all the ends together from the folds. All right. We like big biscuits here, so we don't flatten it out too much. Bring over your cast iron skillet. Start cutting your biscuits. A little trick with your biscuits, whenever you cut them, you can do a little bit of a wiggle just to loosen it up, but don't completely twist on your biscuits because you're going to seal the edges and it won't allow them to really rise and puff up. Just kind of press, just like that. Pop out. Alright, and when you have little extra bits like this, I just stick them right in the pan, wherever I can fit them in there, just to fill up the space. Alright, so this is what your biscuits should look like in your pan, nice and tight and getting friendly with each other. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use that leftover buttermilk and we're going to brush the tops of them. This just helps them brown up really nice in the oven. Gives them that nice classic buttery yellow biscuit top. Don't be skimpy on it. Just cover the tops of them with the milk. Alright, so now it's in the oven at 400 for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes until they look right. And we'll show you what they look right, what that looks like in just a minute. Alright, now let's start making the sausage and the gravy. Just take, for this recipe, you're only going to want about 1 pound of sausage, and that's going to be plenty to get you some really nice, good sausage gravy. Use whatever you have. We like Jimmy Dean regular if we don't have anything that's natural or organic from the area. So let's start doing this. Alright, you're going to want to make sure that you break up your sausage into nice little chunks. That's why I kind of rip it up when I throw it in the pot. You want to get this nice, where it's just starting to brown up a little bit, because you don't want it to cook too fast where you don't get the grease to release, because the grease is the key to our gravy. So now we're at the point where I like to throw in my own seasoning. I know sausage is already usually pre-seasoned, but I like to throw my own stuff in too. Alright, the seasoning that I throw into ours is usually like that one, it's just like a complete all seasoning. In this house, everything has onion, everything has garlic, and everything's got black pepper in it. Alright, so the sausage is almost completely browned up, so now it's when we want to add in our flour for the roux for the gravy. So what I like to do, some people take the sausage out, I leave the sausage in. That's where all the grease is, and it's going to continue to cook, okay? Get you a regular old large tablespoon. Just going to take it and sprinkle it over the top. We're going to start with 3. That's usually enough for this recipe. Yeah, so just mix all of that up until your sausage is nice and coated and all the white flour disappears, and then you're just going to kind of let it set, because you want this to crisp up just a little bit on the majority of your sausage, okay? Because otherwise, if you start adding your milk or your water in now, you're going to have floury tasting gravy instead of that nice savory white breakfast gravy. Alright, so this is looking good right here. You can kind of see how some of that flour and the grease from the sausage sticks to the bottom. You're going to want to make sure you scrape that up. So use a pan that you can use something metal or something that's really stiff to scrape this stuff up when we start adding in our milk, because that's going to give you all the flavor in your gravy. Make sure you add your milk in a little bit at a time. We're using about 2 cups of milk right now. Just keep mixing it around. It's going to start thickening up. And right now you're just kind of focused on getting all that stuff scraped off the bottom so it can mix into your gravy. Alright, so you can kind of see it's already starting to thicken up and look like gravy. All that stuff from the bottom has been scraped up. Just keep adding your milk until your gravy's the consistency that you want, and it'll be ready. Alright, well this gravy looks ready. I'm going to put the lid on it and let it set. And then when the biscuits come out, we'll check it just in case we may need to add a little bit more liquid to loosen it back up. But we are almost ready to eat breakfast. Alright, so the biscuits are just about done. Only about 30 seconds left on them. We're going to pull them suckers out, butter up the top, and let's eat some breakfast. Right, they look beautiful. So that's what you want them to look like. All puffed up, brown on the top. Now what we're going to do is just finish them off with a little bit of butter and some fresh cracked salt on top. Alright, we're going to pull these puppies out of here. Rob is ready to eat breakfast and does not want to wait any longer. Nice crisp bottom on them. Look at that biscuit. Beautiful. We like ours kind of broken up. That's how we eat them. Look at that gravy. Ooh, honey hush. That is delicious. Breakfast is served. Let's give this a taste. Don't burn your mouth. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for following along with us today. We hope you liked this video. I'm gonna go eat this breakfast, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.